Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at a very, very exciting lot of trainer cards. Of course, we are going through these initial reveals of Dark Phantasm, the new set which is coming out in Japan, which has gone and been revealed. And we got a new stadium, we got a new item card, we got a couple of new supporters. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, these are things about which we can get a little bit excited. But let's start off with the new stadium, because I am such a fan of Kato stadiums. And it seems like they might have decided Kato gets to do all the stadiums. Because over in Battle Region, there was only one stadium. It was Jubilee Village, and that was done by Kato. And then over in Sword and Shield 10, we had one stadium in each of the main sets. That was Gapejaw Bog and Temple of Sinnoh. And they were both done by Kato. So I'm kind of hoping they've just decided that Kato does stadiums better than other artists, and they do, and now they've decided that they're going to do them all. Look how beautiful this artwork is! Sorry, we should actually talk about what the card does, shouldn't we? Translation from the lovely Antoine Boulet, if you hadn't guessed this already. And what we've got here, Pokemon with water or fighting energy attached take 20 less damage from the opponent's Pokemon's attacks. And this is nice, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very nice indeed. Because reducing damage is good. We've talked about reducing damage a couple of times recently, and one of the examples I always give is the Fusion Strike Oricorio. Fun little side note, this was done, the regular version, by Kato, who does the stadiums. But this is really good, because it reduces damage done by 20. And that's huge. And if you've played a bunch of Fusion Strike decks, now I'm not saying this has to be in every Fusion Strike list or anything like that, but I'm saying if you've played enough games of Fusion Strike decks, you will have won a few because of this. Quite frankly. It's good. Well, now we've got this, and this is lovely. But what we can actually start doing is going a bit nuts. Remember I showed you Radiant Greninja, which says that you take 20 less damage from Pokemon V? That's pretty good. And then, of course, we've got that Hisuian Gudra V-Star, which has got an attack that means you take 80 less damage from an attack. But assuming you've got water energy on and you kind of have to in order to attack with this, well, now that's 100 less damage. And then you start building in that Radiant Gardevoir as well, and all of a sudden, you're taking 120 less damage from attacks. I cannot be the only one that thinks this is awesome. It really is. It's only for fighting Pokemon, it's only for water Pokemon, but I really like that we're getting this at the same time as Radiant Gardevoir, because honestly, taking 40 less damage from attacks, that can really make a difference. I'm giving this between 3 and 4 Wassies. Part of the problem, we don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. Part of the problem we've got at the moment is that we've got so many good stadiums, you really are going to have a think about which one you really want to play, but this one's got some potential. As for item cards, we've got Damage Pump, and what we've got here is an item card. Move up to 2 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way that you like. Basically, what we've got here is double Jinx. And it really is as simple as that. This is double Jinx, and you know what? This is not for every deck, and I ain't going to pretend that it is. But for some decks, yes, this is brilliant. The obvious one here, the one that everybody's thinking of as I'm saying this, Single Strike Morpeko. And actually, this is a sneaky, really good use for it. Now, Morpeko's a little bit weird because it's only got 50 HP and it's got an outrage attack. It's got one of those attacks which is dependent on how much damage is on Morpeko. But if you can get 4 damage counters on 2 Morpeko, you can be doing a decent amount of damage pretty quickly. You're doing 120 damage. Bearing in mind, you've also got Single Strike Energy and things of that nature. And you're hitting weakness on Mew V Max and things are looking pretty good. Well, here, if you've got 2 damage counters on Morpeko, like for instance from a Single Strike Energy, or maybe Gapejaw Bog is in play, and you bench 2 Pokemon, one's Morpeko, it takes 2 damage counters, The other one isn't Morpeko, but it also takes 2 damage counters. And then essentially what you do here is move the 2 from the other Pokemon onto Morpeko, and oh look, now Morpeko's got 4 damage on, which is what you're looking for. When we're talking about outrage attacks, this is a really, really good item card. But we've also got that Hisuian Zoroark. Remember, that does 50 damage for each of your Pokemon in play that has any damage counters on. So what you really want is 1 damage counter on each of your 6 Pokemon. That's the ideal situation here. Then you're hitting 300 damage for 2 energy, which is clearly ridiculous. Well, this is going to help, because the translation we got from the lovely Antoine Boulet, and we all know Antoine's pretty gosh darn good at this, is move 2 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like. So you can essentially take 2 damage counters from one Pokemon and move it to 2 other Pokemon, and this is just going to help you to move damage around the field and make sure that you've got the maximum number of Pokemon damaged. I think this is a phenomenally niche item card. I think it is really only there for outrage attackers and things like Zoroark that depend on having the highest number of Pokemon damage possible. But who really cares? Fine, the majority of decks aren't going to make use of this. I got news for you, the majority of decks play like a tiny, tiny percentage of cards. It only needs to work in a few decks to make it a good card, and I think this one does. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. In the decks where it works well. And that means that we've got a lovely pair of supporters we can be finishing off with here. Firstly, we've got Arazu, and frankly, she's a little bit late. This says, search your deck for up to 3 evolution Pokemon that don't have a rule box, reveal them, and put them into your hand. And this one is kind of infuriating, because, well, we need to talk about rotation for a second. This is not going to be, these cards aren't in Astral Radiance. These are going to be in the set after Astral Radiance. What that means is it's going to be in our August set, and the rotation is going to be kind of late August, beginning of September-ish. Which basically means these are essentially post-rotation cards. There might not exactly be, there might be a week or two, and I literally mean a week or two, where we can actually play these cards, but generally speaking, these are going to be post-rotation cards. And I'm sure I'm not the first person that's thought of this. Drizzile and Inteleon. This is ridiculous for Drizzile and Inteleon. Because let's say you've got 3 Sobble out turn 1. And let's be clear, that's not particularly difficult, because remember that Sobble gets other Sobble. So you should have multiple Sobble out. What you do is you search for 3 Drizzile. And every Drizzile you evolve into lets you search for a trainer card. So really, just playing one of these lets you get all of your Drizzile out, ready to evolve into Inteleon. You're still getting the benefit of having your Stage 1 Pokemon out, which is good. But it also says that you get 3 trainer cards, and this is more difficult to pull off, admittedly, but if you've already got 3 Drizzile out, and then you play this, you can go and get 3 Inteleon. And each Inteleon gets you 2 trainer cards, so you can search for 6 trainer cards, and I know that is a little bit over the top, but it's possible is my point. Or at least it would be if this wasn't coming out as they rotated. And I don't think that makes Arazu bad. I really don't. But I do think it really nerfs the usefulness of it. Because if I'm playing an evolution deck, there are still going to be plenty of games where I want to be searching out multiple evolution Pokemon. Because bearing in mind, when I say evolution Pokemon, I could be talking about Liepard, that lets me discard a card from my hand and draw 2 cards. I could be talking about Bibarel, which lets me draw until I've got 5 cards in hand. And I could be going for multiples of those, incidentally. We've got good non-rule box Pokemon out at the moment for draw. So this could essentially get you your attackers and drawing, and that's really good. For a while when I could, I was playing Excadrill Chinchino, and pretty much the entire deck was Excadrill and Chinchino. Well, you better believe there were turns where all I really wanted was 1 Excadrill with which to attack, and then 2 Chinchino to start getting my draw engine rolling. And a supporter that gets me all 3 of them is great! And that's essentially where we are. It's got to be a non-rule box deck. But if you're playing one of those, you know, most of the time when you're not playing a draw supporter, the biggest problem is, and this might sound a bit obvious, you're not drawing cards. Well, here you can search for free Pokemon, one of whom will draw you cards, and then you're absolutely golden, you're getting a draw engine as well. There are, again, uses for this, but this is not going to be a staple in every deck. This is going to be a useful card for evolution decks that don't play rule boxes. Simple as that. So, I suppose between 3 and 4 Wassies, we don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. Sorry if it sounds like I'm repeating myself a little bit. Still a very good card, and one that I can absolutely get behind. And that means we can finish off today having a little bit of a look at Iskan. It's a supporter card that draws 2 cards, but if your active Pokemon has Hisuian in its name, draw 2 more cards. Yay! And let's be honest, right? We've seen this. We've seen a bunch of different versions of this card because Pokemon have this thing. Drawing free is easy. The rival draws free. Hop, how, there's some that don't begin with H. I'm not going for any more of them. There's enough examples. And if you're going to be drawing 4, you've got to work for it. You've got to put some effort in. So Coach Trainer is a great example here. If your active Pokemon is a tag team Pokemon, draw 2 more cards. That's probably the most similar to this we've had. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, this is a good card. If you can guarantee the draw 4. Because drawing 4 is good. There is a reason why Pokemon don't just let us draw 4 willy-nilly. It's because there's too many situations where, you know, that's just too much draw. Drawing 3 is a sweet spot. So basically, we like this if we can be drawing 4. How often are we going to be drawing 4? It really depends on what deck you're playing. Because if you're playing a Hisuian deck, then yeah, if you're playing a Hisuian Zoroark deck, and you're pretty much always going to be aiming to have that in the active, this could be really good. If you're playing a Hisuian Goodra deck, again, same deal. I think this could see a bunch of play. I think this is probably better than Coach Trainer, and Coach Trainer saw a bunch of play. I am cautiously optimistic, and I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit too much, but I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. All of the 4 cards we've looked at in this video all have a lot of potential, but they're not slam dunk home run cards, and they are generally for, you know, a narrower section of decks. So I know I've given them all the same score, I'm sorry, but they all deserve the same score. What do you want me to do, lie? Nah, that ain't me, ladies and gentlemen. For now, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know anything you want to tell me about any of these cards. And hey, maybe you rank these cards in the comments. Just putting that out there. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.